everyone, it's Ashley here for Not Too Shabby, and I'm sharing with you my design team project for this week. I will put the link below for the shop and the products that I use, and you can use my coupon code CraftyGirl to save 10% on your order. So for my project today, I made this really cute little card, and I made a kind of interactive card. It's my first time making one of these, and I think it turned out really cute. So you can see her peeking through there, and then as you open the card, it kind of like flips or flops as you open it. And so I'm going to share a process video today for you to see how I color up these little images, and then also how I do this little card. And I just love how it peeks through. I think this is such a fun little card. So I'll share with you first the products that I used to make it, and then I'll get into the process video. So first I use this floral heart stamp set, and it's by NeatandTangled. And you get this really pretty heart floral, and then I also used the I love you sentiment there on the inside. This one also has a coordinating die, and I do have the die for this. It cuts out the outside and also the inside, which I really like, so I do use the coordinating die for this project as well. Then I use this GreetingFarm stamp, and it's called Little Party. And I used that little cutie there with her little party dress. I think she's so cute, and I just thought it looked really nice with the floral heart there. So that's all I use from that set. And then this is how I make this interactive card. This makes the heart opening, and then it also has that little stitched heart to put a sentiment on the inside or to decorate up the front. So this is by MFT, and this one is called the Flop Card Heart. And then I also used a Lawn Fawn die. I used the small cross-stitch rectangle stackables, and I used the largest die from that set. And that is just to do these little rectangled cards that I have on the outside and the inside. Then I used this pattern paper. It's by Doodlebug, and it's called Cream and Sugar, and I love this pattern paper so much. It's so cute. It has really nice bright colors, and it's coffee themed, so it is perfect in my book. So I used that, and that's everything that I'm going to use. So I'm going to get started with the process video, and I hope you guys will enjoy. So to start out with, I'm taking 3 of these Doodlebug pattern papers, and then I'm using this cross-stitch rectangle stackable die. I'm going to cut that out on each of the papers, and this way I just make sure that they're all the same size, and then I know that they're going to line up on this little flop card. So I'm cutting one out in each of these colors. And now I have all 3 of my little rectangles. So I'm going to take my card base. It's just a white cardstock, and I have it already folded into an A2 size card. So I'm putting that pattern paper on the front, and I'm just using my ATG gun to adhere that on there. And then I'm going to put the pink and the blue inside. And it's important to get adhesive on the whole rectangle, as it's going to be, as you're going to be having it creased and cut. You want to make sure that there's adhesive on all of it. So now I'm taking the little heart die, and I'm going to take my post-it tape just to make sure it's centered and lined up the way I want it. And I'm just showing here you can fold it so that it's completely folded across, or you can fold it so that it has a little bit of the side showing. So I'm just doing it so that it's right down the middle part. And now I'm going to put it through my die cut machine, and it's important to make sure you leave it laying out flat, otherwise it's going to die cut the piece behind it. So that was so easy. Now all I have to do is take off that post-it tape, and I have my interactive card. So it folds it on that line for you, and you just have to give it a little fold, and then you have your little interactive die. And I did take my little bone folder tool just so that I could make sure it was nice and flat. And there it is. Isn't it cute? It could literally be a card just like that if you were making a whole bunch of cards. Now I just take that heart die, and I just cut it out on white, and then I can put that inside for my little sentiment. So I'm just going to adhere that on the inside. And now we have our card base all finished. So now we can start to stamp out our stamped images, and I'm going to use that floral heart. I want to use it right on the front there, and I'm just inking this up using my Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink, and it's from the new release that came out. Now I'm just taking the die, and you can cut out the middle, but I'm going to leave the middle, so I'm taking off that part of the die, and I'm just going to cut it around the outside. So I'm going to take some of my post-it tape just because it's such a fine detailed stamp. So I'm just going to run this through my die cutting machine, and this stamp set is so beautiful. I just love that floral heart so much. It's so intricate and it just fit perfectly on that little card. It was like a match made in heaven. And then I took that little sentiment from the stamp set. It says, "I love you," and I'm going to stamp that into the middle of that heart so that I have that as the inside part of the card for the sentiment. And then I'm going to take from the Greeting Farm this little girl here and stamp her out. And now I can get started with my coloring. So I'm going to color the little heart first, and there is so many ways you could color up this heart. I think it'd be gorgeous colored up for Christmas, like in wintry colors, but you could do it like summery colors or spring colors. There's just so many ways you could do it. So there's little tiny berries there, and I do them in a blue color, so I use BG13 and BG10 for those. Then I just take my yellow and do the center of those little flowers. And then I use V04 and V01 for these little purple flowers. And then I do the other little flowers in RV4 and RV2. And then I do the same thing for those at the bottom. And then I'm going to do the leaves. So I wanted to make it different, so I did some of them in some green colors, and then I switched. So I start with YG06 and YG03. And I do the more like leaf ones that have more of the detail on it. Then I just went back in with the YG06 just to give that a little bit of depth and darken it a little. Now I'm taking the other greeny color, so I'm using G02 and G00. And this one's kind of like a minty blue color. It's really, really pretty. And then I go back with the darker color just to accent those little middles of the leaves. And then I'm going to do a few more with the YG06 and YG03. And I'm just doing a little bit more of the greens. I want it to be not just like one full green color, so I try to go back and forth so there's nice of variation of the two colors. But I think you could do this on like a really dark forest green with reds for Christmas, and it would just look so pretty on a Christmas card too. So I'm just finishing up the last of the little bits of green, and then I'm going to show you how I color out that little cute girl. And I just absolutely love the way this turned out. It is such a pretty stamp. And then I just go in with a darker pink, which was the RV06, and I'm just adding that in for all those little bits of flower blossoms. So pretty. So now I will get started with the little girl image. For her, I'm going to start with her skin, and I'm going to use a darker color to start. I'm using E13. And then I go in with E11. And then E000. And then I'm just going back in with E13 to darken it up a little bit, and also the E11. Then I'm just taking the R20 to give her cheeks a little bit of pink. And I get started with her dress, so I'm using RV06, RV04, and RV02. And then I'm going to do the little pleats on her skirt. And to do that, I'm just following those little lines that are already there and extending them a little bit further. And then I just go around that, accenting it as I go. And there is the dress, and I think it looks so, so cute. And I just take the black 100 for the shoes. Now I'm going to do her hair, and I'm going to start out by taking the lightest brown color, which is E53, and I'm just going to color all of her hair. There's tons of different ways that you can do hair coloring with Copic, so if you do want to see some other ways, just Google it on YouTube. There's like a ton of videos, but I'm just going to show how I do it. So I'm taking E55, and I'm just adding some little wisps, and I create a little spot where I want the part to be on the side of her head so that I can use a little bit of the markers to add that part in. Then I go in with E57, and I'm just using like a flicking motion with the markers. Then I go in with E59, and I just want to add a little bit of that brown. I don't want too much. I don't want to cover up the parts that I've already done, but I want to accent it with a little bit darker of a color. And then I go back in with E57, just to add a little bit more of those flicks of hair. And I love how it turned out. You can kind of see like the sun is catching the light on her hair. Then I take the white jelly pen and give her 2 little dots on her cheek, and she is done. So I'm going to fussy cut her out using my sewing scissors, and I do just add some little polka dots there on her dress using the white jelly pen. And Jamie does sell those in her shop, so I'll link that below as well. And I'm just cutting it out using my scissors. I think there is a coordinating die for this one as well. I'll link it below. And then I'm just setting it on. So I'm just adhering that on, and I literally cannot believe how well it fits in there. It's so perfect. And then I'm just adding adhesive to part of this girl so that she can be part on and part off. So I leave that little bit where she's not on with no adhesive. Then I'm just taking some little sequins. These are 4mm clear sequins. And then I'm just adding these on just to give it a little bit of sparkle. And I just use my ATG gun to adhere these. I just put a little bit of the ATG gun glue on the back there and then adhere them. And it just gives it a little something there. I think it looks really cute. Now I'm going to take some Doodlebug twine. I want to add a little bow there on the side. So I just take that top pink color. This is the spring assortment of twine. And I fold it in half and tie it, and then I just cut it there so that it is not attached, and then I just cut off the little ends. I also added a little piece of adhesive so that it would stay kind of like where I wanted it to be, and then I just cut off those bits there. So then I decided I wanted some glitter, so I take my Spectrum Noir glitter pen. Jamie also has these in the shop, and I like these ones a lot better than the Wink of Stella ones. The Wink of Stella is great too, but I think these ones are more sparkly, so I've been using this one a ton on my projects. So there is my card, and I hope that you guys enjoyed. I will put some stills here at the end for you. Again, I will have everything linked below, and you can use my coupon code if you do head over to the shop. Thanks guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.